Malini, you are admitting people, na? Those who are waiting?
Absolutely. We've started doing it. Live, of course.
Done, sir. Live.
Malini, you are admitting people, na?
Yes.
Those who are waiting?
Absolutely. We've started doing it.
Yeah.
Sir, we are live now.
Okay, okay. Thank you, Ashish.
A very good evening and a very warm welcome to all the members of the NPSC schools and all the teachers who've joined us today. Welcome to the new segment of NEP 2020. And today we are talking about strengthening skill competency for the 21st century. And we have with us, and he needs no introduction, Dr. Ashok Pandey, the ex-chair of the NPSC. It's my proud privilege to welcome you, sir, and introduce you to the audience.
Thank you. Thank you, Malini.
Dr. Ashok Pandey is the director of the Alcon Group of Schools, Delhi. A postgraduate in physics from the Allahabad University and a postgraduate in consultancy management from BITS Pilani. Ashokji has spent over 3 decades in the education sector. His endeavor has always been to find better pathways, better ways to impart knowledge, values, and joy to the learners. As the erstwhile principal of the Alcon International School, he took the school to dizzy heights during his tenure. And now he looks after the group of Alcon schools as the director. He's been a successful principal, author, facilitator, and always he's been a researcher at heart. Extensively traveled, Ashokji has led the Indian school principals delegation to US, UK, Australia, and Malta, and brought back loads of learnings. Multi-award winner, he's received the coveted the National Teachers Award by the President of India in 2012. Dr. Pandey sits on the governing body of the National Council of Teacher Education, NCTE, and these are, and along with many other assignments that he holds. He's an erudite author and has 4 publications to his credit. And I'm sure all of you have been keeping up with his columns in the Economic Times and Mint and many other educational magazines. He's here with us as one of our own. He's the ex-chair of the NPSC. So a very, very warm welcome to you, sir. Today we've requested him to address us on embedding the 21st century skills in NEP 2020. All of us are aware that the United Nations report on the Millennium Goals was announced in 2000. And today we are in 2020. With a mission to accomplish it in 2015, now we stretched it to 2030. And NEP talks about it, saying that we would try and complete this mission by 2030. So you're aware that the NPSC schools have always taken up SDGs as a mission. and we've always enhanced our schools, students' 21st century skills with and within the framework of the SDGs. So today we'll love to hear more from you on embedding the 21st century skills in the context of the NEP 2020. Over to you, sir.
Yeah. Thank you, Malini, for a very nice, kind introduction. Very humbled. And thank you also, you and your team, for embedding me in this NEP webinar series. I'm absolutely delighted. Thanks to my colleagues from MPSC who are here. And I think we will have a nice chit-chat discussion for the next 60 minutes that we have together. But since I have been introduced, the reciprocal courtesy demands that all of you are also introduced. But if
I'll do that, sir. I'll definitely do that.
But if we go by that, probably it will take a lot of time.
Yes.
And therefore, I have devised a very short mechanism for that introduction. And I'll request all of you to use the chat box and just write hello, Sudha ITL Dwarka. That will be the format in which you will write. So 3 words, hello, your name, and your school. So let's use the chat box, please, fast.
Dr. Pandey, Sudha and Anju and Aditi are very precious because one is the secretary, the other is the vice chair, and the third is the joint secretary.
Oh, wonderful.
So a very warm welcome to all of them. So I've used a different technique of introducing all of them.
Okay, so others also can use, and they can also use this.
Yes.
So so I can go ahead now?
Yes.
Yeah, so please use the chat box. I have just opened it. Let me see. Say hello. And Rabia. Yeah, come on. Nobody is writing. What happened? Open the chat box, please. Ashish? Ashish, your chat box is functioning or not?
Yes, they are taking time to type it out.
Yeah, so just write 3 words. Don't write long sentences. Otherwise, it will take time. We have got just 2 minutes of warming up exercise.
So I've gone in first, sir. I hope you noticed.
I know. Neha from ITL. Yeah, I can see many people on the screen, but they are not coming in the chat box.
And I have written privately. I don't know if I've written privately.
There is a problem, I think. I'm not able to do that.
Is it? How is
Go
that?
down to, I think you've written privately. That's why it's not showing to everyone.
Yes.
Yeah. But then, Malini, how have you written to everyone? You've written...
No, you just need to click on that and write everyone.
Just click.
It's not coming. I'm getting only 3 choices. NPSC India host, NPSC India co-host, and Ashok Pandey. I'm not getting everyone.
Same here.
The choice of everyone is not here.
Yes, I have also replied on Ashok Pandey sir's.
Okay.
Yes, in front of Ashok Pandey sir's name, I have replied.
Okay.
So that's why I have received a message
there is
privately.
Zoom group chat. You can write in that Zoom group chat. Yeah, I think now it's coming.
The choice is not there.
It's not there?
No.
All right. So that's
Choice
fine.
is not there to write.
Okay,
Choice
no
is
problem.
Everyone
there.
का choice nahi hai.
No problem. That's fine. So thank you very much. And now I'll begin. I'm just... Ashish, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Very much, sir.
Yeah. Could you please put the first poll on the screen?
So which is asking which stream, right, sir?
Yes, yes. So let me see if this introduction works. Yeah, Ashish. All right, ladies and gentlemen, can you put your vote for which stream do you come from? Yeah, humanities is the winner so far. Okay. Some people from commerce, science. All right. Okay, 2 seconds more. All right, Ashish, you can end the poll now and show the result. Oh my God. Just see, humanities and science are almost not exactly equal, and commerce is 11%. So the audience today comprises 44% humanities, 44% science, and 11% commerce. Nobody from vocational stream. Good. Thank you, Ashish. And I will just share my screen and begin my presentation formally. Okay, so here you come, NPSC. This logo is very close to my heart. NPSC, quality, commitment, and excellence. All right, my request is that could you please mute your audio. So quality, commitment, and excellence. This is the motto of this organization. My heartiest congratulations to all of you for being part of it and consistently striving to maintain quality and commitment and excellence in all that you do. So this is the brief agenda we will follow today. NEP in sync with 21st century learning. This is the topic which the chairperson has given. Introductions are over, and then we will have some context building. We will take some references from NEP. We'll see how NEP will look like in action. Then we will have some questions and answers, and then we will have thank yous and bye-byes. So that is the brief agenda. And now I'm going to build the context. All of you have heard about UNESCO, this beautiful organization. And you say this. So I'm just recalling it to you that UNESCO in 1996, which was the last decade of 20th century, and just 4 or 5 years ago, 21st century, they came out with a report as to what kind of education we should have in the 21st century. And that was the first formal UNESCO's announcement about the 21st century learning. So it is not that we did not talk about it before, but this is the first formal one that I'm talking about. And what did it say? It said this. If you can see this particular poster here, it talked about 4 pillars of learning. And that is why this report is also known as 4 pillars of learning, although it is 21st century report. And its head was Mr. Jacques Delors, and it is also known as Delors report. And the 4 pillars here are learning to know, learning to do, learning to be, and learning to live together. And this became the buzzword, and this is what for 25 years we have been talking about it. So learning to know now is more popularly known as learning to learn. And learning to do and learning to be is more popularly known as learning to become. And learning to live together, the coexisting in peace and harmony are the associated things with that. And a little bit of explanation I have given on top of it. So we had to understand things, we have to build bridges with each other, we have to be creative, we have to develop competencies, we have to participate, cooperate, practice pluralism. We have to be a better human being. We have to be responsible. So I think somebody
please mute your mics.
Could you mute, please? So these are the 4 pillars, and that is the context from UNESCO. So this is context number 1, and then comes the context number 2. If you see here, needed skills, the 10 vital skills needed for 21st century of work. And this is a Forbes magazine source. from where these 10 skills have been taken. So what do they say is that the present and future skills are creativity, emotional intelligence, analytical and critical thinking, active learning with a growth mindset, judgment and decision making, interpersonal communication, leadership skills, diversity and cultural intelligence, technology skills, and embracing change. How important these are. And in the past 4 to 5 months, I think most of have experienced the real value and real need of these 10 core skills. So this is another context. And then we come to this is a Washington based think tank, and they came out with what are the 21st century learning skills. And these are the 6 elements here. And I'm pretty sure most of the NPSA schools are practicing these skills. And that is emphasis on core subjects, emphasis on learning skills, learning how to learn, uh, teaching and learning in 21st century context, and developing content aligned to that context, and using 21st century tools and developing learning skills accordingly. And likewise, if the content is developed, the context is developed, and if emphasis is on learning skills of core subjects, we also need to develop an assessment mechanism, which is assessment of 21st century skills and core subjects. So these are the 6 elements of 21st century learning. And then we come a summary of all that. So the entire 21st century skills, uh, the countries have come out with their own understanding. They have contextualized it, and they have grouped it into 3. The first category is known as critical thinking, communication, collaboration, and creativity, which is known as 4 C's, and which we are very, very familiar with. But along with this, there are 2 sets more: information, media, and technology, still the digital thing, which we also talk about a lot. But the third one is very important, in my opinion, and that is life skills and career skills. And that is where this whole thing of lifelong learning and skills to live together, skills to value diversity, inclusion, equity, and plurality is derived from this set of third skills, that is life and career skills. And then we come to NPSC. So where does NPSC fit into this? So as you see, this document released on 29th of July, and it is a beautiful document. But I must take a caveat here that this is a policy declaration. And any policy is always a vision statement. It is a vision of intent. It is a vision of commitment. It is a vision in the direction in which we wish to take to fulfill the complete aspirations of the nation, and also their role vis-a-vis the entire global community. So this document, beautiful document, should be viewed, appreciated, and studied in that context. And all such documents are followed by a detailed program of action and a host of other publications and rules of governance aligned with this policy to put it into action. And therefore, in the last 15 days or so, all of you have participated in discussions around NEP. You have read news and report items, and 2 things have emerged out of it. One, of course, is that it has come too late. Of course, it has come too late. But it has not come late by 34 years. Many people use the word 34 years. But I have a correction to make there, that 34 years after the policy has come. But the policy would not have come after 1 year of the last policy. So it has come late, let us say by 2 decades, which is also a very big thing. But it has not come 34 years later. In my opinion, my personal opinion is that this policy should come at least 15 years before. And then it would have made more sense. The country would have been more prepared. But nonetheless, the policy has come today. And I think all of us have to brace up as to how we can contribute to make this policy a success, overcoming all the hurdles and risks and implementation blues to ensure that it benefits every child and every citizen of this country. So these are my preliminary remarks, and my sense is that this policy should be seen in this phrase which I'm going to use now. The policy is to realize the power of 21st century learning, that is the excellence, for every child, which means equity, irrespective of the background of the child, socio-economic, cultural, language, cognitive, whatever barriers, gender may the child have, but that should not come in the way of excellence for the child. The second thing this policy talks about is right from the childhood, 3 years onwards, school, college, university, professional institutions, to lifelong learning, which we call school, college, and beyond. And that is where the SDG 4 comes into the picture, which Malini was referring to in her opening remarks, that sustainable developmental goals are another commitment which the country has made. And under the obligation of that commitment, we have to align our policy. Because if we do not show the intent through a very robust policy, how will we act on it? So that is the question. And the third one is that it is not only that we have to excel within the country and we have to derive all the values and cultures of the country, but we also have to take it to the global level. And that is why the goal number 4.7, within goal number 4, there are certain targets. And 4.7 talks about global citizenship. And therefore, it gives me immense happiness that the policy talks about sustainable developmental goals. Policy talks about 4.7, that is global citizenship. And policy at several places talks about 21st century skills for the securing the future of the children and the citizens of this country. And I have converted that into a formula which is easy to remember. 3S equals 3E, which means success and sustainability for the society is a function of equity and excellence for everybody. That is what 3S equals 3E means here. So that is the message of NEP. And with this message, we'll see how the policy refers to all those things. And I will just quote some references. You have seen it. I have not gone into detail, but the reference is necessary here. And at one point, the policy talks about 21st century education, including SDG 4. At another place, even in the higher education, it talks about cognitive capacities such as critical thinking, problem solving, social, ethical, and emotional capacities and dispositions. Policy talks about the importance of being good human beings, developing empathy, courage, and resilience, scientific temper, creative imagination with sound ethical moorings. Policy talks about building character. Policy talks about broadening our pedagogy and moving from one size fit all to individualizing or personalizing education. So what is the standard pedagogy? And it goes on in detail. If you read it, it talks about experiential learning, talks about reflective learning, it talks about inquiry based learning, it talks about collaboration, it talks about construction of knowledge. And that is what it means by standard pedagogy. Introduction of contemporary subjects such as artificial intelligence, design thinking, living, organic living, environmental education, and again it repeats global citizenship at one more point. And the seventh reference is the primary purpose of assessment and assessment for learning, and a comprehensive assessment and a comprehensive assessment report And that has been talked about in this policy. And the last thing which gives me a lot of satisfaction, which all of you will also be very, very happy, is for the first time after the last policy, there is a very committed, and there is open and upfront, as we call it, reference to the quality of teachers and primary role of teachers in building society. And therefore a separate chapter has been devoted as to what should be the recruitment policy, what should be the retention policy, what should be the policy to ensure a continuous professional development of the teachers, how to incentivize it. First time it is mentioned, and some of you will be very happy to know it, that once this policy is in place, and if somebody is doing very well, and if you want them to reward it, there is a way. Right now, you cannot do a reward mechanism in a manner in which most of us would like to do. So this reference is very, very important, and I thought that I should mention it to you, because if we talk about the policy, what aspects of policy are going to impact us and influence us, that is something that we should be mainly concerned with. And in action, so if we had the context, we had the references from the policy, and 9 points I have picked up for you, that when NEP comes into force, what are the 9 changes that will take place. The change number 1, it may not be so much for us because we already have a pre-primary education, but let us talk of the whole country. ECC will become a national framework of education, and it will give a new opportunity of a new career opportunity and a new paradigm shift in the manner in which we treat child care. So child care and education will become a new career opportunity, and the entire country will have to think about how to educate our children between 3 years to 6 years. So this is a new change that is going to happen. And that is why I said the new paradigm of early child care in the country, and new career opportunities will come. Foundational literacy and numeracy, FLN, to be ensured through orientation, tutoring, and remediation. So that is very, very important. And may I tell you, ladies and gentlemen, here, that under SDG commitment to the world community, we are also obliged to every year give them a report as to how education is progressing in the country. And that is why if you see that particular aspect of a national proficiency examination at the end of 3, 5, and 8 is aimed at that, because we had to tell the world community that at the level of third, the age appropriate, class appropriate FLN has been very, very appropriately attained by all the children or not, both in case of boys and girls and other genders. Similarly, at the age of 5, at the end of class 5 and end of class 8, that is not to pass and fail the children, and that will not be a board administered exam, but there will be a national achievement survey kind of thing. And then we will have to ensure that the learning is taking place, particularly in numeracy and reading, for all the children. And not that we will wait till class 8 or class 10 to discover that so many children are not able to read a book or not able to do a mathematics, which is something should have been achieved or attained at the age of class 5 or class 4. So that is something very, very important. Focus on learning outcomes rather than infrastructure. So of course, in a basic infrastructure is required, but the focus will not be there. The focus will be on learning outcomes. Focus on learning to learn, as I mentioned in the UNESCO report. Self-directed learning. Self-directed learning will come from how we encourage children to think critically, analyze information, raise questions, and that will lead to self-directed learning. Curriculum will be redesigned, project-based clubs will come, and it will have a new meaning. Merit-based promotion of teachers, collective efficacy of teachers. Now, there are reports across the world that there are more than 150 factors which influence the child's learning outcomes. And out of that, the researchers have proved that collective efficacy of teachers is the most important influencer. And that is why this policy talks about that. And collective efficiency is, of course, as the name suggests, it is the sum total of efficacy of all the teachers, the resources, and everything that is available on the campus is always better than the individual efficacies of teachers. So it is the sum total of efficacy of all the teachers, which means it will further encourage as to what kind of investment is to be done in the development of teachers. So that is something very, very important. And of course, there is a reference to collaborative learning on the lines of perhaps the hubs of learning that we have, but it will have a new structure, school complexes. A lot of clarity has to come there. But as one of the action points, I have mentioned it because I thought that it deserved some discussion here. So I will be a little fast because time is also clicking very fast. And the critical reforms, therefore, in my opinion, that we will have to ensure that how 3 to 6 years is taken care of. One assessment system, performance assessment, review, and analysis of knowledge for holistic development. Parakh, a very nice name has been given to you. And this will lead to a shift towards competency-based assessments and will promote critical thinking. So that is going to come. A lot of work is already being done there. And as I said, national testing at 3, 5, and 8, I have already mentioned it. And as far as teachers' pre-service training is concerned, the talk is about integrated 4 years B.Ed courses. Idea is to professionalize it. Idea is to catch people young to come into teaching profession, to make it attractive. But this is one of the critical areas as to how it will happen, when it will happen is something that we will wait and watch. So these are the critical this thing. And I want to tell you here, there are this whole policy has done a lot of research before publication. Some of the national experiments and some of the experiments in the countries abroad, and their results and their experiences have found a place in this policy. But within the country only, you'll be happy to know that there is one program called Vidya Mission in Gujarat, Mission Bunyad of Delhi government, Gunavatta in Bihar, Nali Kali in Karnataka, and Mission Prerana in Uttar Pradesh. So these 5 state government experiments to enhance quality in education have been the driving force of this policymakers to put into place the FLN, the early child care and education, and as to how the classes can become more holistic. So these are the national success stories. And there will be a collaboration between NCERT and UNESCO. They will align themselves. And if you remember, last year, NAS was done, National Achievement Survey, and the results were published. And this will continue. And this data will be used to find 2 things. You know, a new term, which looks very funny, but it is true, is called learning poverty. And learning poverty is defined as that if more than 50% of the children in a particular class do not show the attainment appropriate to that class, then they will be known as having learning poverty. So all the nations in the world, India included, we have to ensure that the number does not go beyond 50%. In fact, the number should not go beyond any percentage, in my opinion. But at least today, it is the definition. And since the government has to give its report, as I said earlier, under SDG 4.1.1, as to what is the learning level attained at each class, for that, NCERT and UNESCO will work together to develop data and systems. So this is my first thought. These are my remarks, and we are almost half the time is over, and this is what Malini, you suggested to me. And now we are open to questions and answers. So Malini, how would you like to go about it?
Yeah, we are going to, I think everybody was mesmerized by the presentation. So we haven't really put in the I think they need a little time to do this little thinking of
yeah,
questions.
of course.
But
So
we
in the meantime, let them
yes.
think. And
Yeah.
Ashish, can you put poll number 2, Ashish?
Surely, sir.
Yeah. So please think of your questions, which you can write in the question and answer section.
Yes. So we'll do
Yeah.
poll number
Yeah.
2.
So polling number 2, in your opinion, document NEP 2020 has the potential to transform Indian education system. And you can show the result after a few seconds, Ashish. Oh my God. I hope everybody has voted. 23 people only have voted, I believe. Why?
83 who are waiting. I think I'm sure they're going to put it in.
Yeah, Ashish, gives a little more time, please, before sharing the result.
No problem, sir.
All right. Relaunch the poll, please.
Sir, in between.
Shall I relaunch, sir?
You relaunch it.
Yeah, if I can ask you a question, sir.
Yeah, sure, Sudha. Yeah.
So I was thinking if you can little bit elaborate on competency-based teaching learning practices or the skills, and little bit on information, media, and technology literacy.
Okay, fine, good. I'll come to that. Thank you. All right. So I think some people now have come in the category of cannot say. Yeah. So we have influenced them now to change their mind, and the number of people has also increased. So 40 people have voted, but we have around 83 people in the Zoom platform, Malini.
Yes.
I request all of them to vote, please. Then only this data will be very authentic. All right. Okay, that's fine. You can end this poll. Okay. So Sudha, thank you very much. Let me come to this media design and information skills. So all of us know how important digital skills are today. And therefore, this skill set will require 2 or 3 things. First, of course, every child should have access to technology. Now, once that itself is a problem as on today, and particularly this period has exposed it further. Number 2, once you have access, then how do you use technology? So the basic uses of technology for a child is that how does it help you in learning? How does it help you in communicating? How does it help you in collaborating with others? How does it help you in giving your presentations, in doing research, in collecting data? So there is a skill set where the usage of technology is very, very important. So this is the second thing. The third thing, which is very, very important, is that learning anywhere, anytime. Now, if technology is available to everybody, the equity will be taken care of, and nobody will be deprived of learning just because they do not have access to technology or they do not have access to teachers. And therefore, all countries in the world, about 15-20 years ago, they started working on developing a very, very robust technological infrastructure. We have also done a lot, but we are a large country. And if you noticed, on 15th of August, the Honorable Prime Minister announced that in the next 3 years' time, every village will be connected with a high-speed bandwidth, so that every child is able to log in to a technological device. So that skill will depend on infrastructure. Once infrastructure is there, I think the whole world will open for every child. So that is what I meant there by that. And your second question was about competency based learning. I think all of us are focusing on that. And the competency based learning in its philosophy is not about preparing for a particular exam in terms of a summative examination or in terms of a standardized test through rote learning. And therefore, I think the experiential learning, learning a concept and then moving to the next concept, uh, the formative test, getting back its original reputation and its glory, and how the learning is progressing and how the learning and the knowledge is being co-constructed by the teachers, by the learners, by learners and learners, by learners and teachers and teachers and teachers. And therefore, collaboration will find a new meaning and new importance in the new scheme of things, where our focus goes on competency-based learning rather than learning only for passing an examination. Okay, Sudha?
Thank you, sir. Thank
Yeah,
you. Very elaborative. Thank you.
Thank you.
Dr.
Thank you,
Pandey,
Sudha.
I
Yeah.
want to take you back to the point on learning poverty, which was a
Yeah.
very valid point, and
Yeah.
to keep our position in the world when
Yes.
everybody is viewing it is
Yeah.
important.
Correct.
So, you are a sitting member of the NCTE, sir. So,
Yeah.
what would your suggestions be to the body which actually trains, is into training of teachers? What should your suggestion be in order to ensure that we have teachers who have the competencies to transact these skills to the children? Because since you're widely traveled, and well known is of course your travel to Finland, I'm sure I missed out on that. It talks about teachers being trained and trained in skills before they reach their schools. So
Yes.
what would your suggestion be to NCTE in this regard?
Yeah. So a good question. Thank you very much. So one suggestion, first of all, two or three things are there which are very historical, and this policy has mentioned that, though they have not mentioned the name, but they have derived that philosophy. And three things I'll quote you here. My apology because this answer will be a little longer. So the first thing is Dr. Radha Krishnan. So our philosopher, teacher, scholar, president, as we call him, you know what he said about teachers, Malini? He said that the best minds must come into teaching. That was his dream. And second thing, he said that the society must look after them, their livelihood, their well-being, their respect in the society, the high pedestal that they should get. And once that is done, then the society can make teachers accountable. That was his dream. And that dream has been reflected in this policy when it talks about a lot of things about teachers. So the first thing is the best minds. Unfortunately, today, not all best minds are coming. And even as their first career option, they are not coming. So that is one of the problems that I regret. And that is why in the NCT, when the syllabus for BEd was revised, this 4 years thing was, submitted long time back, that this should also come at par with engineering and medicine and law and other 4 year degree courses. And a child has done graduation or post graduation, is struggling to get a job and not getting any job, and coming to the profession by doing 1 year BEd just for the sake of it. So there were two hurdles there. Hurdle number one, the motivation was not there to become a teacher and be the architect for the future of children. That was the first hurdle. The second hurdle was that the training was not proper, because teaching a child is not a child's play. It is a huge thing. It is a huge responsibility. So those two hurdles first we have to overcome. However, that could be a long-term problem. The short-term problem is, as I said, the policy's intent is equity and excellence for every child. Now, if every teacher takes a vow and makes a commitment and promise to herself or himself that I will not leave any child behind. And class 3 child, if they have to learn this much of numeracy, this much of language, this much of environmental studies, we will do everything to ensure that the child has done that. That is where Sudha's question of competency based learning comes in, right? So these are the suggestions which we are already giving. We are already working on it. But one thing has come into the policy that we will move to 4 years of BEd courses. Now, imagine if a 4 years IITN becomes so important and so lovable and pickable, if I can use the word, then why can't a 4-year BEd teacher could be the same lovable, pickable, likable, professional teacher in comparison to somebody who has not even seen what happens in a BEd class, has got the degree and comes to teaching. So you just compare the two things. I'm being very upfront here because we have discussed it at several fora, and we have shown our frustration, and even the government is aware of it, and the policy makes no bone about it. Malini.
Sorry, Sudha.
Sir, little bit on global citizenship skill. I know it is your passion. How we create global citizens with head, heart, and hands who will be socially, morally, ethically responsible citizen who will give back to society. If you can little illustrate your global citizenship skill.
Yes. So global citizenship, of course, many people raise some doubts about it. That global citizenship will come in conflict with the nationalism and the nationhood or something like that. But here again, I bring in 2 or 3 examples from our own experience. And the first experience is that global citizenship concept is not a Western concept. It is not an alien concept to the Indian ethos. Indian ethos already says that, what we think that this is me and this is a stranger, this belongs to me and that belongs to you, is a product of narrow-mindedness. But those who are broad-mindedness, they believe in what we call Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. Okay, the whole world is family. That is our ethos. The second ethos, Sudha, is which we recite almost every day: Sarve Bhavantu Sukhina, Sarve Santu Niramaya. Whose philosophy is this? This is our philosophy, and we should appropriate it. When we say that let everybody be happy and free from any illness, and they should be blissful. So who we are talking about? We are talking about everybody in the world, not only humans, but animals, even the plants, the creatures. So if this is the philosophy which has given us the strength and the roots, then for Indians, it should not be difficult to understand what is the meaning of global citizenship. So this is one aspect of it. The second aspect of it is Mahatma Gandhi was asked once to come to a particular meeting as a Hindu leader. And Mahatma Gandhi said, I'm so sorry and I'm so pained. My identities are this, this, this. So my first identity was that I was born in Gujarat. I was born in a Baniya family. I'm a Hindu. I'm an Indian. But my nature is submerged in the cosmic, universal world, you see. So I am a cosmic citizen, and please do not pain me by asking me to represent as a Hindu leader. What does it mean? It means we have very identities, we have our identities, but all those identities go and they get subsumed and submerged into the larger identity of being a citizen of this world. So that is the philosophical concept. But if you bring it at the level of the school children, what do? We have to develop in them this awareness. Now, you see, I tell you, the children of today, 10 years onwards or even younger, they always think in terms of what are the world problems, what are the solutions, why there is a gender injustice, why there is poverty, why there is hunger, the climate changes which is affecting the whole world. I think the thought process is already global in nature. And that is why there is a need to develop this awareness. Number one, children should be aware of themselves. They should be able to manage themselves. Then they should be aware of the society, their relationship, their decision making, all those things. And then multiculturalism, respect for everybody, accepting the differences and celebrating the differences and accepting it at the same time without any prejudice. I think that is the essence of global citizenship. And the SDG talks about that, and the government of India is trying to regain its own authority on developing global citizenship, because this is something which originated in India. It did not originate in the headquarters of United Nations, let me tell you. United Nations has only drawn from our philosophy, and I can give you several other quotes which have influenced how these 17 goals have been designed. Sudha.
Yeah. So before Sudha asks you another long, difficult question, let me ask you one simple question. And that simple question is, NCERT now has been mandated with building the framework for the actual executable action plan. Now, and they've also been given the cue that it need not be indigenous always. You could also take the best practices that are happening internationally. So you've traveled so widely. You've been through so many countries. And Malta is one country that I'm particularly impressed with, because they've got some beautiful frameworks for this primary education. So if you like to talk about some of those frameworks that you got to see on your visits, because that would be an experience for all of us to pick up.
Malini, I understand where you come from. All the best practices, let me tell you, why do we call that they are the best practices? They qualify to be best practices because of two or three things. Number one, in all the schemes of education, in all the schemes of teachers, children are at the center. We only say that children are at the center, but our activities, our curriculum, our assessment, our programs, our infrastructure does not align with that philosophy, right? So how teachers work to ensure that every child progresses from point A of attainment to point B of attainment, that is what makes it the best practice. Now, of course, we can say that we are not very affluent country, the funds are less and the resources are less. That is perfectly fine. I agree to that. But we also have our local resources, indigenous resources, and I have a great faith in the teacher's potential to connect with the children emotionally and bring out the best from the child. I think the day we start doing that, that every child is respected for what he or she is, and if we can bring out the best from the child's agency can be fostered and the potential can be unleashed. I think that will make the practice best. And in some of the foreign countries that you are mentioning, of course, their number is less. Many people will say, fine, number is less. But that could be a challenge also, and that could be an opportunity also. And we also have some of those best practices, let me tell you. Our best practices are also known outside our country. We may not know it. And our best practice, at least in one sense, is that we are able to manage more number of children at the same time. And you know how we are able to manage it? We are able to manage it because of our cultural roots, the cultural relationship of teacher and taught, the inherent respect for the teacher, inherent faith and confidence in what the teachers are doing. And therefore, we come back to the question again, that if we can professionalize it, and if we can enhance the capacities of the teachers, our work can be that much time better. So that is what my understanding of my visits abroad is, that I find that their commitment to the children is far more than the average commitment we show to our children here.
Yeah, wonderful.
Yeah.
So that I think, have you got the question at the YouTube?
I think Aditi ma'am will ask a question.
Yeah. So after Aditi's question, I will have one poll. Ashish, you be ready for the third one. Okay.
Sure, sir, sure.
Okay. The moment.
So my
Aditi
question
has
is
asked.
around the idea of vocationalization of education from the middle school onwards. So how do you see this happening? Since it's only a policy right now and it has to be given concrete shape, but how would you advise schools to go about it? What should be the plan? When should it be done?
Okay, Aditi, there are two things. One is vocationalization as a stand-alone discipline of learning, right? So say, for example, that I want to go into this vocation and therefore start from A, B, C, D and go up to Z, or even go up to PhD in that. So that is one aspect of it. The another aspect is that how do we view different vocations? And the third aspect is that as human beings, what are the skills we must know, which we will use in our life every day, and that will also develop in us a dignity for labor, right? Now,
Absolutely.
I'll give you an example, which I learned it when I was in Germany, and we were doing this discussion. And when we are talking of a skill building, one person said it very beautifully. I will explain to you what does it mean. And you know what he said? He said that if there is some electronic gadget stops functioning in India, the Indian household members will wait for 2 or 3 days to wait for the electrician to come and rectify it. But a German will immediately take his toolbox out and will fix it within half an hour. You get my point? And how true it is. Even for very, very simple things, we wait for one day for the electrician or plumber to come and we cannot fix it. So, and then we have also appropriated certain skills that this is for him, this is for her, this is for this category, this is for that category. So right now the policy is talking of correcting that mindset. This is number one. Number two is, I have also heard that some of the best business houses in this country, they are the managing directors or CEOs or bosses, but they are young children. When they come, people expect that they will become the CEO on day one, but they say no. First, they put them in the assembly line with the lowest stage where they have to work with the workers, because they want them to go through the assembly line before they reach the top. We do not have such arrangements in our country. So I think if children are given that thing right from the beginning, and if a child knows how to put a button on his or her shirt, and how to iron it, and how to cook something, in not that it is not my job, well, where are you? You just can't say that. I think if those things can be corrected, it will be very, very important achievement of this policy.
Sir, there's a lot of impatience in the people who are watching the YouTube. They want to know when the policy is going to be implemented. So a lot of queries regarding that.
Okay, so all right. So if their impatience suggests that the policy should have been implemented yesterday, then I'm sorry, I can't help it. Okay, but if the impatience is that no, it is a wonderful policy and it should be implemented at the earliest, then I compliment them and I salute them. Having said that, let me tell you, this policy will now be will be discussed and debated, most probably in Parliament, because Parliament has not discussed it, though a huge, consultation has taken place. So there will be a government order, there will be a program of action. And as you said, NCRT is already tasked with preparing the curriculum framework. NCTE will prepare a curriculum framework for teacher education. So all these things will take time. So at least I will request all of you to extend your patience to next 6 months. And then only this policy will start rolling out. That too, if everything goes well. So this is number one. Number two, I will give you a straight answer to your question in terms of your 10th and 12th board exam, which some of you might be a little anxious as to what will happen to that. So let me tell you, in the year 2021, the first class 9 will go under the new scheme. So, 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4. So the 4-year 9th class will be the first batch in 2021. So now you add one more years, the first 10th board under the new scheme will be 2022. And similarly, the 12th first under the new scheme will be 2024. So that is one timeline that we can see. And the last thing that I can share with you is the foundation years. Now, if I would wish that the foundation year should be implemented from March 2021 itself, because it takes nothing. 6 months of preparation should be fine. And that 3 years of foundation mainstreaming should be done. So that is my sense. But in this case, I cannot tell anything with authority. This is my understanding on the basis of how things function.
Right. So
okay. One second,
last...
Malini, I will just have the third poll, Ashish.
Sure.
Yeah. And this time I expect that at least 70 people will participate in this. The third polling, please, Ashish. Third one. Yeah. In your opinion, the major objective of NEP 2020 is, so you please read the options: making the youth future ready, integrating local with global, teacher education, reboot, universalization of secondary education. So, come on, please. 15 people have voted so far. It is less than the national average in Lok Sabha election.
So I think the online classes have generated this kind of diffidence, because online classes, kids are constantly being bombarded with quizzes. So they're afraid of getting the answer immediately. So I think there's a little bit of reluctance on voting on the polls. And we must tell them there's complete anonymity. There is
we have no artificial intelligence here to know
to scout you.
So that disclaimer is already there.
Yes.
Yeah. So I think half of the participants have voted, and as per this thing, making the youth future ready comes out as winner. 79% of the people who have voted, they feel that this policy will make the youth future ready. So, okay, thank you very much for your participation. All right.
Sir,
So next question, please.
I was just going to tell you that this poll is heavily loaded, sir. It's been influenced by your presentation today. So
that is why I have given these polls after my presentation was over.
Absolutely. So, of course, there are a lot of questions, but I think we should take the last question as a question about, the options for children to do multiple entries and exits.
Okay.
And how do you think, while there are many children of other strata who would take this choice, perhaps, because they need to, how do you think that the public school children would view this kind of an option? Do you think they too would opt for this kind of an option of studying till 10th, going out to pick up some work of choice and doing some internship and coming back again? Do you think the choice is open to all, and will it be received by all in the same manner?
Okay, Malini, I will first clarify that this multiple entry and exit per se is not for schools. It is for higher education. Right? So, and I will tell you the difference between the two. Now, let us say, for example, today, if a child leaves after class 9 and comes back to do class 10 after 2 years, the child is already 9th degree certificate diploma is already with the child. Child will not have to do class 9 again, right? So this facility is already there in schools. So that is not an issue. The issue is at the college level. Now imagine a situation, and which is rampant. We do not know, but it is rampant, that 3 years degree course as on today, you do BA part 1. And your family does not allow you to continue. You can't invest 3 years You need to do a job and support economically your family, and you get a job somewhere. Now, if you leave as on today, your 1 year is lost and it is of no use to you, and you will take up that job as class 12 pass, and you will remain a class 12 pass for the rest of your life. Under the new scheme, the suggestion is that if you leave after 1 year, your credit will go with you wherever you go. And if after 2 years your situation is fine and you want to complete your higher education, you come back and you start from BA part 2 because your credit is already there. So I think that beauty makes options more flexible and gives more opportunity for the people. If they can't continue it, discontinue it, come back again and chalk out a new career. So this is number one. Number two is that 1 year of BA part 1 will also give you a certificate. 2 years will give you a diploma. 3 years will give you a degree. And now we have got a 4-year program for those who want to go in for higher studies, the post-graduation, and that will have the elements of research. So I think it is a very beautiful scheme, and it gives flexibility. Right now, I know many of my friends who left in BA part 2, their 2 years was lost. Imagine 2 years of somebody's life lost for no reason. It is not only the economic reason. Somebody falls sick in your family. You could not give your exam. What do? You see? So I think that way it is a very good scheme. And youngsters of today, Malini, I tell you, you talked about public school. My suspicion is, and a positive suspicion is, that many of these public school students, they will start taking gap year. They will do BA part 1, they go for internship, they will go for NGOs, they go and work in the villages, and then they will come and complete their degree. I think it is opening the door for them that way.
Okay. Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
I think that's a new opportunity and a new look to this entire.
Absolutely.
Sudha?
Ashish, can you give the 4th poll, please?
Okay.
Because now we have got only 3 or 4 minutes more. Poll
Sure.
number 4. Yeah. That is the last one. And I'm sure this time I will have 70% polling. The major shift area projected by NEP 2020 is from the burden of bag to a boon of learning, from what to think to how to think, from cognitive skills to character building, and from single one-size-fits-all pedagogy to standard experiential pedagogy. Okay. So 20 people have polled so far. 30. Okay. 5 seconds more. All right, show the result, please. So 16% each for what to think to how to think, and going to a broad-based pedagogy. Good, great. I'm very happy. Thank you for participating in this. Yeah, Malini, please go ahead. Yeah.
Malini, you are on mute mode. Unmute yourself.
Okay. I was just wondering, it's already 6:10 and we've kept well beyond time. So would you do the honors?
Yes, sir. We are very thankful.
Ashish, please remove the poll result.
Bring it to the screen, Ashish.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So if some of you wanted a little more and I could not answer it, you can connect with me on my email or Twitter, LinkedIn, or website. And thank you very much to all of you. And now, Sudha, over to you.
Yes, sir. So thank you so much for sparing your valuable time and to be with us and enlightening us on the topic of 21st century skills, which is very close to your heart. And you really summarize the whole 21st century scale and the domains of 21st century scales like learning scale, life scale, and literacy scale. And you also elaborated as we asked you, that competency based and global citizenship skill and lot more. And very beautifully summarized NEP 2020 and how it is going to be implemented. Most of us have moved in that line, or we are working in that line. So it won't be very difficult for us to now for this paradigm shift in education system from rote memorization to competency based teaching. But your elaboration, your deliberation was excellent, sir. We all have benefited by your deliberation, and wonderful evening. All of us friends, we enjoyed your knowledge and the way you made us aware about the topics. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sudha. Sudha, today I have another meaning for NPSC, and I want to share it with my colleagues here. NPSC is National Progressive Schools Conference. Today, NPSC is National Policy for Schools and Children.
Wonderful.
Wonderful.
Okay, so we should view this policy in that.
Yeah.
And NPSC, I am 100% confident, will be in the forefront in the leadership role in giving a model as to how these 21st century skills could be embedded in the manner in which the policy is envisaging it. Yes. And you rightly said it won't be difficult for us because we are already on track. Yeah. We only have to, speed up and launch. So you are very right.
Yes, sir.
So thank you, Malini, Sudha, Anju, Aditi, all office bearers, and all my lovely colleagues. I'm absolutely delighted having spent more than an hour with all of you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
And thank you, Aditi, especially for joining us from London.
Thank you, sir.
Very much.
Like I said, I would have joined this meeting from anywhere. It doesn't
Thanks
matter.
a lot. God bless you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.